So every year before the NBA season starts, ESPN tries to predict the top 100 players for that following NBA season. Now, they made this back in October, and I wanted to react to how it is aging today, because I'm sure some of these predictions have aged well, and then some of them have aged like milk. And you guys enjoyed a video I made last week where I reacted to your guys' hot takes before the season, so I hope you guys do enjoy this video. All right, so this came out on October 15th, 2024, and they were trying to predict, the top 100 players for this season. So how would they be ranking these guys at the end of the year? If they had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander number 1, that would be a very good take, but we'll see what they have. So they start things off with Anthony Simons. They ranked him 85th last year. I can't really make a fair assessment on this. I think Anthony Simons could be a borderline top 100 guy this year. I don't think he's really elevated himself into a completely new tier by any means. So he is the baseline for this. Next up, we have Chris Paul. So he still cracked the list at his age, and he has been a good veteran point guard for the Spurs. Now, the NBA is just so talented now. I don't know if I could definitively say he is a top 100 guy, but I do think he at least deserves some consideration to be there. So I'm fine with this so far, and then we can kind of go back and see where the baseline is at. So number 98, we have Mike Conley. I can't say Mike Conley has been a top 100 guy this year. There's going to be some players that aren't mentioned in this top 100 that I'll maybe realize at the end of this or throughout this video. But like if somebody like maybe Malik Beasley wasn't mentioned in this, maybe somebody like Peyton Pritchard will not be mentioned in this. Maybe they will be, but if they're not, that take has not aged well because those players have been better than Mike Conley this year. 97, we have Herb Jones. We really can't make a definitive take on that just because Herb Jones has been hurt for most of the season, which has been pretty disappointing just because he was a top 5 defender in the sport last year. He was on all defensive first team, and this year we never really got to see him fully healthy, or mainly all of these Pelicans in 2025. Next up at 96, we have Al Horford. Honestly, like shout out to Al Horford this year. I don't know if he would crack a top 100. I feel like he should. Like, I feel like he still plays good defense at his age. Maybe there's still 100 players better than Al Horford, but honestly, it does not look like he is washed by any means and is still giving these Celtics good minutes this late in the year with all the miles that have been on his body since he pretty much came back to Boston a few years ago. At number 95, we got Jalen Suggs of the Orlando Magic. Kind of a similar take here to Herb Jones. He's been hurt for most of the year. It's just been kind of a disappointing year number 4 for Jalen Suggs just because of injuries. But hopefully we could see him, Franz, and Paolo all healthy for at least 65 games next year. Coming in at number 94, Keegan Murray, another player that I don't know if he's really a top 100 guy this year. I feel like he hasn't taken the leap that maybe some of us would have liked him to take in year number 3, because sometimes you'll see rookies have a good year 1, maybe a sophomore slump, and they could really elevate themselves into a new tier in year number 3. But unfortunately, that has not been the case for Keegan Murray this year, and this team has had some injuries, and they did have to reshuffle their roster from the De'Aaron Fox trade. We have Brook Lopez at 93 and Jabari Smith Jr. at 92. Like, I wonder if Isaiah Hartenstein cracks this list, or some centers that have been playing really good this year. Like, does Ivica Zubac crack the list? I hope so, because he has been better definitely than Brook Lopez. And Jabari Smith Jr. did get hurt this year, unfortunately, so he did miss a little bit. And like Keegan Murray hasn't really taken that leap we would have liked him to see take in year number 3. I wonder if like Amen Thompson will make this top 100. We'll see. We got Jonas Valanciunas there at 91. I mean, he can still provide you valuable minutes. Like we're seeing that on display right now with Domantas Sabonis hurt. I don't think he's been a top 100 guy this year. I still think he's a fine NBA veteran role player to come off the bench. Number 91 may seem a little bit high, but Jonas Valanciunas was a really productive big man not too long ago. Andrew Wiggins at 90. I mean, Andrew Wiggins was actually pretty good to start off the year, and then it kind of dipped off towards the end of the Golden State days, and he hasn't really been the best Miami Heat. Now he's been hurt and maybe taking him some time to get acclimated to Spo's offense, but you could say maybe he hasn't been top 90 this year. Maybe he has. Michael Porter Jr. at 89. I would say Michael Porter Jr. has probably been better than everybody we've talked about this year, just because he's been available and his offense has still been consistent throughout the season. At number 88, we got Isaiah Hartenstein. Okay, so we did make the list, and I do think he's probably been better than that when he's been healthy, because him and Chet have been such a good duo defensively. So he comes in at number 88. We got Naz Reid at 87. So I'm glad Naz Reid cracked the top 100. That would have been a little upsetting if he didn't, since he won 6 Man of the Year last year. But I do think Naz Reid has been better than number 87. This take probably hasn't aged well. Jaime Jaquez there at 86. So Jaime Jaquez, 1 spot ahead of Naz Reid, 2 spots ahead of Isaiah Hartenstein. The fact that they had him 3 spots ahead of Michael Porter Jr. just off, I don't know, last year, which like, it was a productive rookie year, but he really cooled off in the second half of the season, and I don't think Jaime Jaquez really had that much room in his game to take another leap to be a top 85-ish guy in the league. That's definitely a hot take to say that he was better or going to be better than Reed, Harnstein, or Michael Porter Jr. this year. And he hasn't been better than those three. There's a lot of players behind him that have been better this season. No disrespect to Jaime Jaquez. I just don't think he should have been ranked that high based off his rookie season. We do have Lou Dort here at 85. I'm fine with that. Lou Dort has still been, once again, an incredible defender for this Thunder team, and he's been a really good three-point shooter and basically is the epitome of the 3D prototype. At 84, we have CJ McCollum, and McCollum's had his good moments this year for sure, so I'm also fine with McCollum in this range. He was 44th going into the league last year. I wonder if he'll crack a top 100 next year as he gets one more year older and is going to be entering the last year of that deal. This one hasn't aged well. Marcus Smart here at 83. Yeah, McCollum, Dort, I don't know about Jaime. Maybe, yeah, Jaime. Naz Reid, Harnstein, Michael Porter Jr., Wiggins, like basically everybody behind Marcus Smart has been better than him. Now, I have been enjoying Marcus Smart in Washington, kind of being a leader, a veteran for that team. And he did probably dip from the 2023 ranking. Yeah, like he dipped 24 spots. It's just he's probably not going to crack a top 100 next year. Like the Grizzlies literally had to trade away their first-round pick this year to Washington just to get off of this contract. So coming in at number 82, we have Mitchell Robinson. Also was hurt for most of the year. He's trying to get ramped up again. I really can't critique that ranking too much just because he's been hurt. 81, we have Miles Turner. I feel like Miles Turner probably should be top 80. I feel like he's still been reliable on both ends of the floor. Maybe hasn't had the best year of his career, but I still think he's really good for this Pacers team. Jeremy Grant at 80. Yeah, there's definitely some players behind Jeremy Grant, even though that he is overpaid. Like, he's still a fine player. But yeah, I would rather have a bunch of guys behind him like Miles Turner, even like CJ McCollum, like Lou Dort, Naz Reid, Harnstein, Michael Porter Jr. So I do think they were a little bit high on Jeremy Grant, and he did drop 22 spots from the 2024 season. Fred VanVleet there at 79 also does feel a little bit high for where he should be ranked this year, but I don't think it's the worst ranking in the world. I mean, Pods has been playing better since the Jimmy Butler trade, but Pods at 78? Pods at 78, I don't know about that with some of the players behind him. Wow, they really like that 2023 rookie class. If I see Pods, okay, we have to see Amen Thompson, right? I mean, Asar Thompson has been better than Pods and Jaquez this year when you take into account Asar's defense, but if Amen's not here, that will be insane. I feel like he will be here. I wonder if Scoot's going to be here. Probably not. I mean, that'd be kind of wild. So we do have Jaden McDaniels there at 77. He was not ranked the year prior. Now, I would say Jaden McDaniels was maybe a little disappointing offensively to start off the year, but we had that really good stretch the other week, or just kind of a few weeks ago, when Randall, DiVincenzo, and Conley and all these guys were hurt, and McDaniels was really stepping up offensively, and honestly may have been the best offensive stretch of his career. So I'm fine at 77. He may end up better than that at the end of the year. Oh, man. Tyler Hero at 76. I don't really know if I can agree with that one. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because Tyler Hero was an all-star this year. I don't think his second half is going to help him make an all-NBA team this year, especially because the Heat have been falling off a cliff since the Jimmy trade. But yeah, I would probably have Hero, I don't know, 30 spots higher than this at the minimum, 40 spots higher than this based off this year. And Dante DiVincenzo being better than Hero. I think DiVincenzo's a great player. I think if he was healthy this year, and you know what, you got to account that he was in a new environment, was going to take a little bit of time for him to acclimate into Chris Finch's offense. Coming over from Tibbs' offense, it's completely different. And they were using DiVincenzo more like a point guard than this off-ball shooter, which I think he's best utilized at. And we were seeing good stretches as of late. But is he better than Tyler Hero this year? No, not even close. Zach LaVine at 74. That also feels kind of low. Because Zach LaVine, I would say this year in Chicago is definitely a top 50 player in the league. It's just the contract wasn't great. And last year was like the first year in like 5 years where he was really banged up. Yeah, that is way too low for LaVine. Jared Allen at 73. They actually dropped him 23 spots from last year. Going into this year. That's kind of crazy because Jared Allen has been so important to the best team in the Eastern Conference this year. Is he maybe the fourth most important guy on the team? Probably, but he should be at least 20 spots higher than where they had him at 73. Like, I feel like he was either an honorable mention or just made my top 50 list. 73? A little bit of disrespect to Jared Allen. So we do have Austin Reeves coming in here at 72. You know what's funny? Like at the start of the year, maybe people thought, okay, Reeves ahead of Hero, Reeves ahead of LaVine. Does that seem high? this is probably too low. Austin Reeves has been playing like a top 50 player in the league over the last few weeks, especially when LeBron and Luka have been hurt. His playmaking has been on another level. And I feel like he's in talks about being like the best third option in the NBA now. That's been a debate going around as of late. We do have Klay Thompson here at 71. I mean, that's definitely too high for Klay. Like Austin Reeves, Jared Allen, Zach LaVine, maybe DiVincenzo, Tyler Hero, McDaniels are all better than Klay Thompson this year. Also, like Fred VanVleet, why is he in a Raptors jersey still? He played all of last year with the Rockets. What are we doing? I don't really get that. So coming in at number 70, we do have Bradley Beal. That's fine. He did kind of fall off a little bit this year, and I don't think that one has aged the worst compared to some of the other ones on this ranking. We have Jalen Green there at 69. Maybe a little high, right? Like Jalen Green already that high at 69. I don't know. I think Reeves has been better than Green this year. Jared Allen, LaVine's been better than him. Hero's been better. McDaniels has been better. You can even make an argument McCollum has been better at times, but at least it's for, I think, a good team. So I don't want to disrespect Green too much, but you still have the inconsistencies in his game. Brandon Miller at 68. He was really banged up this year, and he was asked to do so much in that Charlotte Hornets offense before he had that season-ending injury. They were high based off his sophomore year. So he was the basically second best rookie from this draft class last year, with Wemby being number 1. They really are going to have Pods here and Hawkins and no Amen Thompson, unless they really liked Amen Thompson, which I will give them credit for. But the fact that I haven't seen him yet, wow, Amen has definitely been a top 100 guy this year for sure. Coming in at number 67, we do have Cade Cunningham. This is the worst ranking by far. I don't know if they were looking to get engagement or to clickbait this or something, and they're like, we need to have something crazy. This is insane. This is insane. Cade is going to be, I think, an all-NBA player this year. He's going to lead the Pistons to a playoff team and have one of their most exciting years in maybe 2 decades. So having him here at 67, and we're going to get through the players ahead of him, is kind of insane. Like, what were we doing? Cade Cunningham was a top 50 player for me going into this year, and you guys are the biggest NBA outlet, basically. How do you have him at 67? Because he's a top 15 guy this year, at the minimum, top 20, top 25. So Draymond at 66, actually okay with this. Draymond's going to get some Defensive Player of the Year votes, and he's still incredible on that end of the floor. So I have no issues with Draymond Green here at 66. Like Malik Monk at 65. Malik Monk is a fine player, but you really had him ahead of Cade Cunningham. What are we doing? Like I said, I'm fine with Malik Monk. 65 is definitely a little high for him based off this year. But just the fact that he's in front of Hero and Cade, I don't even know about that. Coming in at 64, we do have Emmanuel Quickly. That one hasn't aged the best, but Quickly has been banged up this year. He may not even hit a top 100 next year. We'll see, but maybe he gets closer to that 92, and then hopefully we could see Quickly healthy in 2026. We have Chris Middleton here at 63. Yeah, we're starting to see Chris Middleton become washed a little bit. They had to trade him for Kyle Kuzma to get under the luxury tax. And like what I said about Marcus Smart, I love Chris Middleton in Washington as like this veteran leader for this team, especially for that Wizard young core like Sar, Bilal, George, and Bub, and for their development going forward. 62, we have KCP. Wow, they really had KCP ahead of Cade Cunningham. What are we doing? What are we doing? That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, I don't think KCP has been a top 100 guy. Shout out to the Josh Hart respect at 61, because Josh Hart, I think at times has been like borderline top 50 this year. His shot as of late has not been the best, and he has been a little bit hesitant shooting the ball, but he's an incredible role player, incredible rebounder, good defender, great transition player. I'm fine with him at 61. 60, we have Desmond Bane, who got off to a little bit of a rough start. His offense was struggling a little bit, and then he got injured, but Desmond Bane, I think, has been pretty good this year. I like him as a secondary initiator and playmaker for this team. So I think this actually may be a little bit low at 60 for Desmond Bane. And I like that this photo is from years ago when DeJounte Murray was still on the Spurs, because he played all of the last 2 years with the Atlanta Hawks before this year started. 59, we have Caruso, who has been one of the best defenders in the sport this year, like a lot of guys on the OKC Thunder, but this is too high. I mean, I love Caruso. I love him defensively, and he's a great role player and a great glue guy. How do you have him ahead of Cade Cunningham? How? That is, oh, that's crazy. Coming in at 58, we have Kobe White, who I think has been, honestly, just as good as he was last year. We're just going to hold him to different expectations, because last year he really broke out, and this year Kobe has still been a good player. He was just named player of the week, so I'm fine with Kobe at 58. It just doesn't help that there's better guys behind him. Darius Garland at 57. Now that feels a little bit low, as Garland was an all-star this year, or was one of the best players in the Eastern Conference, and has been the second or first or third most important player on one of the best teams in the league. And having Derek Lively at 56, who has been banged up this year, but Lively ahead of Garland and Cade, that has not aged well whatsoever. All right, so I'm going to probably keep going back to Cade and Garland throughout this. Jaren Jackson Jr. at 55 also hasn't aged well. He was an all-star this year. I don't think he's going to win Depoy, but he's going to finish, I think, on all defensive first team. So at 55 is way too low. And Şengün, I mean, by default, 54 is too low. He was an all-star this year. I don't think Şengün's a top 15 guy or 20 guy in the league, but he's definitely top 35 at the minimum. So 54 was way too low. RJ Barrett at 53, another player that's had some injuries this year. And I actually don't mind RJ in this range. It's just the guys behind him that should be ahead of him. Franz at 52, I think Franz has been better than that this year. Wow, they really didn't move him at all because, I guess, of that three-point shot. But I think, like, Franz has done so much to try to carry this Magic offense this year. I think he's been top 50, but I'd have to map it out. OG at 51. Like, as a Knicks fan, that's around where I had him going into this year as well. I believe I had him at like 46, 45. And I think OG's defense is always going to keep him around this range. And they didn't have Caruso like far behind him. And OG is a far better player offensively. So I think I'm fine with him being at 51. He's probably around that range this season. And then one spot ahead of OG Anunoby, we do have LaMelo Ball. And unfortunately this year, LaMelo's season has been plagued by injuries yet again. Garland and Cade have been better than LaMelo this year. But you know what? LaMelo at 50 is fine. It may be even too low. You may say LaMelo's top 40 this year. Aaron Gordon at 49. I thought maybe it was high. Like, yeah, there's some other players behind him that should be ahead of him. But Aaron Gordon shooting 45% from three this year. I think he's been a top 50 player in the league. Julius Randle at 48. Probably a little bit too high as well. Another player that has dealt with injuries this season and kind of having some issues getting acclimated to a new offense there in Minnesota. And he could be a free agent very soon. Evan Mobley there at 47. I think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year this season. It's him, number one in the betting odds. And then you have Draymond, Dyson Daniels, and Triple J. Dyson Daniels, another player not in the top 100. And I assume Amen Thompson is not in the top 100 either, which is kind of crazy. And I do believe Evan Mobley is the top 30 guy this year. He's probably top 25, just like based off this year alone. And that's what their goal was for this. Kristaps at 46, another player that's been banged up this year, but when healthy, he looks even better than 46, but I get why they can only put him that high. DeMar DeRozan at 45, probably a little bit lower than this, I would say currently, but is still a fine player in this league. Like, I don't mind DeMar in this range. It's always the players behind him. J-Dub was an all-star this year. I think has elevated his defense in 2025. Probably should be higher. DeJounte Murray at 43. This was definitely way too high to begin with. Unfortunately, he did suffer a torn Achilles, but before that injury, he didn't look great. And I don't think he looked like a top 50 player in this league. Pascal Siakam at 42. An all-star caliber player this year. And I don't think he's going to end up on an all-NBA team, but I think he should be around this range, and maybe it is a little bit too low. Next up at 41, we have James Harden. Now, I maybe said I didn't think James Harden could be a top 50 guy this year. I was a little bit lower on James Harden than his production this year, so I will say that it's aged like milk. I totally agree. The Clippers have been, I think, one of the more shocking teams in the league in a good way. Like, you have your shocking bad teams like the Phoenix Suns, now the Dallas Mavericks with all their injuries, and the Philadelphia 76ers. But I think, like, the opposite of that, you have the Clippers and the Pistons in those convos. 40, we have Brandon Ingram. Unfortunately, this year has also been derailed by injuries. He's on a new team. We'll see if he's going to be top 50 next year and how he's going to look with Scotty. I was hoping to see that this year, and I don't think we are. Next up at 39, we do have Derek White. I don't know. I think Derek White is fine, like, in the top 50 range, because he's still one of the best connecting pieces in the league. It's just, yet again, some guys behind him that should be ahead of him. Mikal at 38. As much as I want him to be a top 40 player in the league this year, I don't think he's been one. His offense, I think, has been fine this year. Like, he's still averaging around 17, 18 points per game on good efficiency. I just don't know if we're ever going to get that Phoenix Suns level defense from Mikal again. 37, we have Trae Young, who ended up becoming an all-star this year, has really carried this Atlanta Hawks offense. I think this range is fine for Trae Young this year. Maybe he's a little bit better than that. Drew at 36, kind of high, right? Like, Garland's better than Drew this year. Cade's better than Drew this year. You can even make an argument Austin Reeves has been better than Drew this year because Drew has had some injuries, but he's still such an important piece in this Boston Celtics ecosystem that I'm fine with this. I'm not going to really hate on Drew Holiday at 36. Like, that range is perfectly fine with me. Scotty at 35. I did have Scotty 47th in my preseason rankings, and I think that was the biggest thing people were disagreeing with. I think Scotty has been playing better after a little bit of a rough start, but like Quickly and RJ has dealt with injuries this year. So I think 35, maybe a little bit too high, but he's not much lower than that. Rudy Gobert at 34. Yeah, this is a little bit of a fall off for Rudy Gobert now, and Lauri Markkanen at 33. I don't think either one of these players have been a top 35 maybe even a top 40 guy this year. So I think they're going to be dropping in next year's ranking for sure. Chet at 32, another player it's really hard to give a definitive answer on. Like, he's looked great since he's come back from injury, especially his last couple of games. And his two-man connection with Isaiah Hartenstein has been so much fun to watch. So 32, fine with me. Jamal Murray 31, like, it's high. He should not be ahead of Cade Cunningham at least. But he's been incredible after getting off to a rough start. And we all had kind of a bad taste in our mouth from the Olympics. But Jamal Murray has been a great number 2, at least offensively, over a decent amount of games in 2025. Karl-Anthony Towns at 30. Like, that's kind of low. As much as Cat has kind of frustrated me at times this year defensively as a Knicks fan, he's been way better than a top 30 player. I don't think he's going to end up on All-NBA second team when it's all said and done, but I think he'll end up on All-NBA third team 100%. Domantas Sabonis there at 29, also fine with this. I thought he should have made the All-Star game this year, so I think he could be in this range 100%. Jimmy at 28. I mean, we'll see how the playoffs go, and obviously he has done a phenomenal job helping the Warriors turn their season around to maybe elevating themselves into a new tier. I just don't know if he's top 30 anymore as an individual. Zion Williamson at 27. I mean, Zion's like a top 15 player when he's healthy, but we haven't really seen that throughout this year. He's been healthy as of late, like knock on wood, not really playing back-to-back still. But when he's out there, man, he's still one of the more dominant players offensively in the NBA. De'Aaron Fox at 26, probably a little bit high this year because I don't really think he was all-star worthy in Sacramento, and now he got traded to San Antonio. He had a season-ending injury. I don't think Fox is probably top 26, but he's not far behind that ranking. Kyrie at 25. Oh, man. Kyrie was incredible this year. He really was. It just sucks. He tore his ACL, and we may not see him until 2026 calendar year, maybe, if we're lucky. Paolo at 24. I mean, he got off to that great, like, 5-game start. Then he had the abdominal injury. Then he kind of wasn't the best when he came back, but he's been killing it as of late. Coming in at number 23, we have Damian Lillard. Now, I just kind of want to talk about Dame for a second. He's been so good this year, but it just feels like him and Giannis are so good individually, and they should work together as a duo. But I don't know if they do. Like, Dame is so much better when Giannis is off the floor than when he's on. So I don't really get it. I don't. Maybe they need another year of chemistry together. Maybe they need better pieces around them, and Giannis got to go like to the full-time 5 because having him and Brook maybe isn't the traditional lineup for Dame. I just like Dame's fine at 23, actually. Like, I think he's been that good this year. Kawhi at 22. Obviously, there's the injury concerns with Kawhi, and that's why they were a little conservative on that. And Kawhi has looked good over his last stretch of games, thankfully. Yeah, Paul George at 21 is not aged well. Ja Morant at 20 is probably not aged well either, as Ja was not even an all-star this year. I don't even think he's probably top 30, top 35 just this year in a vacuum. And Paul George might not even be top 100 this year. So this one maybe have aged the worst for them, but not a lot of people saw him coming to be this bad. Tyrese Maxey at 19, also a little bit high. He struggled to operate as a number 1 option when Embiid has been out. So I would say he should be a little bit lower. Bam, who's been better offensively over the last month and a half, but he got off to a really rough start this year. Definitely too high at 18. Donovan Mitchell at 17 might be just no, that's too low, right? Like, there's a good chance Donovan Mitchell is on All-NBA first team, at the minimum All-NBA second team. So by that argument, he is too low. Haliburton at 16, you could say he was kind of disappointing to start off the year, but I think he's playing himself to maybe being an All-NBA player this year just because of what he's done over the last 3 months. He's been incredible for the Pacers. Devin Booker at 15. I know this is a down year for Booker, but he's in this range. He's still one of the best scorers in the NBA. At 14, you got Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. Another player whose efficiency maybe hasn't been to his standards, but he's still an incredible player. I'm fine with this. Anthony Davis at 13. He was playing like a top 10 player for most of the year, and then unfortunately, like, gets traded and then gets hurt. Jalen Brunson at 12, I thought was going to get on All-NBA first team, but then he suffers that ankle injury. So this is a fine range for me moving forward. Wemby at 11, I think he was going to make it to All-NBA first team before he got hurt as well. And having Wemby at 11, like, going into this year, I think was a little aggressive still. And hey, they may even have been too low. So at number 10, we have Anthony Edwards. I'm also fine with this. Like, Anthony Edwards has been incredible this year, especially when he's turning into like one of the best 3-point shooters in terms of efficiency and volume in the NBA. So that's fine with me. Number 9, we have Kevin Durant. I know the Suns have been quite disappointing this year, but Kevin Durant is still one of the best offensive players. Maybe this is a little bit high, but I think it's actually like a fine range for KD. We have Joel Embiid at number 8 because of the injuries. I mean, even when Joel Embiid was out there, he didn't look like a top 20 guy in the league, but he also was playing with really bad knees. So I think it's really tough to rank where Embiid was this year. We do have LeBron at number 7. Like, LeBron may be a top 5 player this year when he's been on the floor, which is just incredible for somebody that's 40 years old. Steph at 6. I mean, I didn't think Steph really deserved to be an all-star starter throughout the first half. But since the trade deadline, like, he's the main reason why the Warriors have been so good, because we're kind of getting 2016 Steph again in some ways. At number 5, you got Jason Tatum. I guess he's been kind of like number 4 this year. Like, I would say that the top 4 players have been Shea, because I think he'll win MVP, Jokic 2, Giannis 3, and then probably Tatum 4. They have Tatum 5, and they have Shea 4. And I think you would have Shea 1 if we're just looking at this year as a whole. You do have Giannis 3, which I think is spot on. I do think he's been the 3rd best player this year, and I do think we've taken Giannis for granted. And then you have Luka at 2, which I think he's probably dropped a little bit. He's had his injuries this year with Dallas. He gets traded to LA, but he's still a top 10 player at the minimum this season. And at number 1, they have Jokic. He's probably not going to win MVP. He's probably going to finish 2nd. So I guess by a technicality, this is too high. So yeah, that is gonna be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know if there was a player that you think should have been mentioned there in the top 100 that wasn't. Malik Beasley wasn't mentioned. Amen Thompson wasn't mentioned. Ivica Zubac. Let me know if there was anybody else not mentioned down below. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.